Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Louise Hedger begins now.
Good evening, everyone. Tasmania's fire authorities are holding their breath ahead of an escalation in fire danger tomorrow. There are several areas of particular concern, including growing fires in the northwest and northeast. Another fire has developed at Renison Bell, forcing the closure of the Murchison Highway. Today, crews have been working on building containment lines around existing fires.
A peaceful but eerie start to the day in the Huon Valley. Hot conditions but light winds creating the perfect chance for firefighters to get stuck in with backburning.
We're not trying to say we can stop this fire here, we're just sort of flanking it and steering it away from Geeveston.
Crews burning the fuel loads in strategic spots to reduce the bushfire risk.
So what we try and do is link them all together. That gives us that buffer, that control zone where we can fight the fire on our terms.
Tomorrow, to bring a greater fire danger right across the state, residents near all active fires urged to be on alert. In the Central Highlands, about 40% of the edge is still alight. The blazes near Zeehan have been dampened by up to 15 mils of rain.
So they'll remain stable, those boundaries have been stable, but we're not sure that they'll stay that way under tomorrow's conditions.
With this firefight expected to continue in the Huon Valley for some time, authorities are being forced to close some schools in the area and make alternative arrangements for the start of the school year next week.
It's expected these conditions will continue, so we want to be very clear about what's happening in schools for parents, for carers, for students, but also for our teaching staff.
Huonville primary and high schools to take on 400 students from affected areas.
How much of an impact has this had on the families at your school?
A significant impact. We have families housed in the evacuation centre and staff housed in the evacuation centre.
So the key is to make sure these students know that they are welcome at our school and I suppose a sense of normality comes across when they first start that school.
The full details of the alternative arrangements can be found on the Education Department website. Michael BREEN, 7 Tasmania News.
The Festivale party has rolled on with a skillful circus act entertaining the crowds in Launceston today. The event will potentially reach capacity as thousands flock to the biggest show in town.
This is courage.
Risking future generations for your entertainment.
You could even say it was
really stupid.
But it's certainly entertaining. The juggling juggernaut known as the Great Dave put a smile on everyone's face.
Years of practice. years of when I should have been in school, probably.
The London-born performer has been doing this since he was 14. He's taken his show to 50 countries.
It's funny, I don't get nervous before I go on, but sometimes in the middle of the show, suddenly, it's almost like you have a little out-of-body experience. You stand back and look at yourself and go, oh, look at this, you've got 300 people all just hanging on your every word.
It's just one part of the Festivale festivities. There's the sound of music, the sizzle from stallholders, and the selection of local drops.
We don't have a cellar door at the brewery, so it's a real chance for us to touch base with our consumers.
Yeah, he loves the microphone. First Festivale for him.
And the human statue loves fairy floss. The media, not so much.
Where'd the chair go? It wasn't me. I didn't take anything.
Cold shoulder, but a golden time for family fun. Festivale wraps up tomorrow. Tom Johnson, 7 Tasmania News.
It was all action in Hobart today, with the state's best touch footballers competing in the 21st Annual Cup. This year's event attracting some industry names, while encouraging Tasmanian women to get involved.
Two of the state's powerhouses going head-to-head as these aspiring players work on their passing.
Hands up, ready to catch.
Getting some tips from a legend in the sport, visiting from Sydney to share his 35 years of experience.
I've been coming to Tassie for over 15 years now to help promote touch football. Used to run a lot of clinics, mainly in Launceston, and just absolutely love coming down here and being able to share some knowledge.
All part of the annual state competition, hosted this year in Hobart.
So today we have our annual State Cup event where our affiliates from all around the state come together from under 12s to over 30s divisions to play touch.
The non-contact sport, an opportunity for mixed teams to compete, seeing an increase in female players across the state.
Yeah, definitely girls have gotten more involved over the years, which is really good because it's a sport that both boys and girls can play, and it's just really good to see lots of girls out here.
I would love to go somewhere with my touch because I love it so much, but yeah, like just keep striving for it, I guess.
Around 400 players will hit the fields over the weekend. Rebecca Main, 7 Tasmania News.
The Hobart Hurricanes have signed 18-year-old Afghan Kaysar Ahmed to replace injured paceman Tymel Mills. The young leg spinner was a force for Afghanistan in the recent Under-19 World Cup, taking 14 wickets during the tournament. Ahmed will be available for selection in Thursday night's top-of-the-table clash against the Renegades. The last 2 Aussies have bowed out of the Launceston International, with Irina Rodionova going down in straight sets, while Luke Saville fell to Italian Lorenzo Giustino after a huge 2.5 hours on court. Saville fought valiantly but eventually lost 6-7, 6-2, 5-7. The women's final will feature Kazakhstan's Elena Rybakina after she won in 3 sets today.
I just try to focus on each point and keep going fighting.
The finals are on from 11 a.m. tomorrow.
Hello, time to look at the weather today. Hobart's reached 27, 25 in Launceston and Devonport, with 23 the top in Burnie. 29 was the state's top for Ouse and Scotts Peak, 28 in Campania, 26 for Strawn and King Island, 25 on Flinders Island, with 25 also for Cressy and Smithton, 23 the top today in Scottsdale. Low cloud over the north of Tasmania, smoke lingering there through the south still. A cold front lies over southwestern WA with monsoon activity through the north of New South Wales and Queensland. Tomorrow the high in the Tasman moves towards New Zealand. A trough and cold front approach the state, with monsoon activity continuing through the northeastern regions of the country. North to northwesterly winds tomorrow, 10 to 20 knots about the east, the south and the west, increasing to 30 in the south later. Variable 5 to 15 knots in the north, with seas between 2 and 3 metres. A few warnings. There's a small craft wind alert for the Central Plateau Lakes, a strong wind warning for the northeastern and the southeastern coastal waters, and there's also a fire warning for the northeast, the east coast and the Midlands. Looking to the forecast for tomorrow, 29 in Hobart, 32 for Richmond and Ouse, possible late showers. Sunny through the north, 31 in Launceston, 26 for Devonport, 30 for Deloraine, 28 and sunny in Burnie, 22 for Strawn and 25 at Curry, with hot conditions in the east, 33 for St Helens, 32 at Swansea and 28 for Whitemark. And the UV is still extreme right around the state. Showers about the west, the south and the east on Monday, heading up north later on. Showers for the north on Tuesday, clearing later and pretty fine elsewhere, with showers expected to extend statewide later on Wednesday. Around Australia tomorrow, 31 in Perth, 37 for Adelaide, 39 for Melbourne, 30 degrees for Brisbane, 29 in Sydney, with 34 for Alice Springs.
And before we leave you tonight, home gardeners would have been green with envy at some of the state's most eye-popping flowers on display today at the Launceston Horticultural Society's summer show. St Helens gardening guru Charles Smith was in charge of judging the best dahlias.
People come into here and they'll say, "Oh, my mum used to grow dahlias years ago and I'm thinking about having a go myself." And it's so relaxing.
Dozens of bright and colourful floral arrangements entered the show from across the state.